First responders,
Wow.
police, fire, and medical. It was very good. Many, many years ago. Decades ago.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the September 27th, 2022 closed session city council meeting to order. And I would also like to point out that this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city's website and by Zoom teleconference. City Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Krupa. Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Mayor Lowenthal.
Here.
Councilmember Males. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Meyer. Here. All members are present.
At this time, members of the public may only comment on an item appearing on the agenda. Please adhere to the following when addressing the council. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments should be directed to the council as a whole and not directed to individual council members. City Clerk, are there any registered speakers?
Thank you, Mayor. If there's anyone on the Zoom call that would like to speak, now is the time to raise your hand and I will unmute you to speak on the closed session agenda. Give you just a few moments. Seeing none, Mayor, there's no registered public comment.
Council will now proceed to closed session.
Mayor, before the council goes to closed session, I was going to request the addition of 2 items to the closed session agenda. These are items related to cases, issues that arose after the posting of the agenda. The first one is Bethany Hufford versus City of Hemet, Riverside Superior Court, case number MCC 200988. The second case is In Re Western Community Energy, United States Bankruptcy Court for the Central District, case number 21-BK-12821.
Do I have a
I'll move to add those.
Second. We'll do a roll call. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Meyer, second by Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Krupa.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Males. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Yes.
Mayor Lowenthal.
yes?
That motion passes 5-0.
Now we will proceed to closed session. Thank you for joining us, and a report of closed session will occur after the deliberations. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening tonight. I would like to call the September 27th, 2022 City Council meeting to order. I'd like to point out this meeting is being hosted live stream through Zoom and teleconference. And I'd like to remind the council to have their microphones turned on. City Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Krupa. Councilmember Males.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Here.
Mayor Lowenthal.
Here.
All members are present.
At this time, can I have Lauren Woods do our invocation with our Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Brown.
If you'll join me for the invocation. I know that this meeting and this night is guided for the benefit of this community and all its people. And I recognize each person of whatever their faith, for all I know, all roads lead to the same destination. And I know that this meeting is blessed. So it is. Amen. Blessed allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now move to city attorney's report from closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. For items 4B, which is Baxter v. City of Hemet, and item 4D, which is Bethany Hufford v. City of Hemet, the city council gave settlement direction. On Hufford, it was by a vote of 5-0. On Baxter, it was by a vote of 4, with one Councilmember Brown abstaining. There's no reportable action on any of the other closed session items.
Thank you, city attorney. We're now going to move to communications from the public. Right now, I'm going to open up public comment for items listed on the agenda. Please be reminded that there's a 3-person time limit for all of your comments. And when you get up there, state your name. And just remember to address the council as a whole and not single out any specific council member. Can I have Ann Smith? Followed by Johnny Sandoval.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor. My name is Ann Smith, and I'm a resident of the City of Hemet. And I wanted to, I read tonight's agenda. I read it this week, and then I read it about 2 or 3 times today. And I actually can't even believe the council would consider some of the stuff that's on there. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. The only item that doesn't beg a question is 14C. I want to talk about 14B for a second. It's clear to me, and I'm not an employee, and I lack engineering expertise, that the staff reports lack vital information on any of the proposed projects. It's also clear to me that the management of community development either did not look at the staff reports, and this is going to be kind of mean, but I have to say it, or lacks the ability or concern to properly assess the needs of the projects or the costs. I wonder if that person really believed that council would go along with some of this. You know what? I'm just a plain old simple-minded 77-year-old citizen, and even I can see some of the flim-flam going on here. Maybe if so many people hadn't quit in the planning department, we wouldn't have to continually use outside help. Because when you do that, you kind of lose control, and the city council seems to lose control. Well, I don't know if it's just the city council. Regarding 14D, according to the information prepared by staff, there's going to be a shortfall. So I wonder how that's going to get paid. I guess my question is this the most important project on the books? And are there other items that could be addressed first? I'm just asking. Sorry, I'm nervous. 14E. Okay, regarding the shortfalls, how are they going to be covered? Using Measure U money? I hope not, because that was money that was promised to police and fire departments. Seriously. What's even worse is the fact that they're being ripped off. The police and fire are being ripped off by the city because of, in my humble opinion, they're just getting the crumbs of Measure U funding, and it's just not right. But, what's even worse, the fact is that there's a new measure, Measure H, which, is going to be the new improved Measure H. I don't want anybody to think for a second that I'm for defunding the police, because I am definitely not. I do think the police and the fire department need money, and I hope they get what they should have been getting all along. However, Measure H is going to go on into perpetuity, because the difference between Measure H and Measure U is that there's no sunset. So I'm not too happy about the way that was done. It's going to be the same old, same old. What will happen is you'll get this money and you'll do the same stuff you've been doing all along. And I'm not blaming or pointing a finger at one person. I'm just saying, thankfully, the one person who decided it was okay to spend money on stuff that it wasn't designated for is now gone.
And can I pause you?
Pardon me?
Can I pause you because you're out of time?
Okie dokie. Well, I'm not picking on anybody and I know better than to pick on the chief of police. So
Thank you for your comments, Anne. Can I have Johnny? Followed by John Newman.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Johnny Sandoval, U.S. Navy. I'm here to talk about your sidewalks in this town. To be brutally honest, they are very bad and very unsafe. I know spots here from the city hall. Luckily, I got the skills enough that I can get over the curb cuts, coming off the curb cut and trying to get on the street and trying to get over 3 inches of asphalt, sticking over that cement. You're waiting for somebody to have an accident or you're waiting for somebody to sue you. The sidewalks are important. You got a lot of people that are disabled in this community. I'm up and down the sidewalks and streets all the time. And sometimes I have to go out in the street to get somewhere because there's no sidewalk. And being in a wheelchair, we're not seen by cars. You know, it's very dangerous. Then you got families who want to walk their kids, but they can't walk their kids. Why? No sidewalk. So that's my biggest problem in this town, is we need sidewalks. You know, this town used to be very, very beautiful back in 1988 when I first moved out here. Now it's getting ugly. You know, let's beautify the town of Hemet again. Get these sidewalks in where people can walk up and down the street, check out the shops, check out downtown Hemet, walk out to Meridian if they want down the street. No, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, I just want to let you know that we do have an item on our consent calendar, and that is going to tackle our sidewalks.
Hello, City Council, Mayor. My name is John Newman. I'm an employee here in Hemet, and just working here, I have to go along sidewalks throughout Hemet. And again, that I'm just reiterating and bringing to light what Mr. Sandoval brought. It's bad, especially when I'm new to this. I don't have the skills that Mr. Sandoval does. And many times I've caught myself almost slipping into the street because I'm still learning the control. How am I supposed to do that if I can't have a safe place to do that? I have to stay at home. That's not right. I don't want to stay at home. I want to live. I want to work. I didn't want to be put in this situation, but I am. So how am I going to live if the people that we're supposed to vote in aren't working for us? We voted you guys in. It's time to step up and work for the people that voted you in, please. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Can I have Willie Hendrickson? Mike, did you donate your minutes to someone? To who?
I'm William Hendrickson. I've lived here now for over 4 years. I moved into your community and opened my arms, and I've tried to help in any way I could. Now, I've traveled up and down your streets all over this town because I know every one of you have seen me somewhere at some point. The most dangerous spot you have in the city? State Street. Esplanade to Crow's Nest. There is no sidewalk on either side, San Jacinto or Hemet. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit by cars, had waves of water push me into the curbs, and I've asked for years. I've come in front of this council for years and asked for a 2-block section of sidewalk. Guess what? It's still not there. I'm still having to ride out in the street. Those little white crosses you see, most of those are in places where the people have died because there's no sidewalk for them to be on. Think about it. Is that the way we want our city remembered? That's all I want to say.
I appreciate you. Do we have anyone on Zoom that has anything on the consent calendar or the agenda?
Thank you, Mayor. If there's anyone on the Zoom, call, now is the time to raise your hand and I'll unmute you. And we'll give you just a few moments. Mayor, there's no registered public comment.
I'm going to close items on the agenda and open up general comment. Is there anyone on Zoom for general items?
Thank you, Mayor. If there's anyone on the Zoom call for general comment, now is the time to raise your hand and we'll give you just a few moments. Seeing none, Mayor, there's no registered public comment.
Can I start this with Sonia Lamos? Followed by Jerry Ann Franklin.
Good evening, councils. My name is Sonia Lamas, and I am a protective citizen of the city of Hemet. Unfortunately, I live in the county zone, but I am very active in our community. However, I am here this evening on behalf of Valley Restart. I am here to say thank you for the projects that are in progress and to, I guess, be the advocate for a future opportunity for Valley Restart. I am requesting that Valley Restart be taken into consideration and into the housing element plan that is set forth. Unfortunately, I missed the Zoom that was on Friday. However, I reviewed it on Saturday morning. In doing so, I was able to learn about the identified areas of the city that do adhere to the SB 35. And I know it's only 10%. However, I need to make the council aware that Valley Restart is subdivided, not subdivided, but they actually own, free and clear, 2 parcels, one of which is 1.9, which is the existing. And then we have, and when I say we, is because I'm part of their executive teams, 2.6 vacant acres that are there, shovel ready for a development opportunity. Even though we are in the processes of still completing our first project, and thank you for that, I have to believe that this council will support an opportunity to allow Valley Restart to be a sustainable opportunity to where our only income and our operating income that we currently have is not reliant on grants and support of our current supporters. Furthermore, I think that it's important that this council also be reminded that this year in October, the Home Key grant opportunity is going to be present again. We have now a second opportunity to be funded. Last year, I brought the Home Key opportunity at a very short notice. And, you know, for whatever reason, we weren't able to move forward with that. And I respect that. However, today I am requesting that Valley Restart and its opportunity be taken into consideration. And this would be a sustainable output. It may be a project that may take us 2.5 years to develop. I have reached out to EMWD. I have submitted all, pertinent information that is required to see what the water allocation, can allow for. Initially, I thought 112 units, 61 bedrooms and whatnot. Obviously, that might not be the case, but with 35 rooms per acre, there's definitely an opportunity. So I came here this evening to share that information and to, pray that this council would take all factors into consideration. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Ms. Franklin?
Another one while I was on that trip. So thank you, council, for letting me speak tonight. I have kind of an unusual request. Because this year we have an election going on. And I wanted, after listening to these gentlemen speak and knowing that it's not part of our district, but it does affect all of Hemet itself, I wanted to just make a plea to the entire city of Hemet, and I wanted to use this opportunity to ask that people take a look at Linda Krupa and really take it under advisement what she has done for our city, for this council, for representing us in ways not just in her district, but throughout the city of Hemet. And I live over in the lakes, and which is so far away from District 5, it's not even funny, but she has affected us. So I just wanted to take this opportunity. It's a bit unorthodox to address the city council by stating all this stuff, but I think because this does go out to the city, I think it's important, because everything that these gentlemen have had to say about their disability just goes to show how important it is to have people on the council who are compassionate, who will get things done, and who really care. So I just wanted to say that being in support of the right people can make a difference. Are you dinging me? Somebody dinging me. My phone. Oh, it's your phone dinging me. I have a green light, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Is there anyone else who wants to add to the list of complaints? All right, with that being said, I'm going to close public comment, and we are now going to move on to presentations. First, we have a proclamation highlighting Hispanic Heritage Month. Can I have Miss Ruth come up here with me? Is that your husband? Can he come up here with you? All right. Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas during National Hispanic Heritage Month, we celebrate the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Week began in 1968 under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ending on October 15th. And whereas September 15th is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and in addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence days on September 16th and the 18th. Whereas the city of Hemet is committed to recognizing Hispanic culture as an important part of its strong and inclusive community. Now therefore myself, Mayor of the City of Hemet, along with the rest of the council, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, Hispanic Heritage Month, and urge all residents to celebrate the contributions that have been made to our country and community by Hispanic Americans. We want to present the and thank you for allowing your group to come perform for us.
Thank you. Well, we started the group. Okay. We started the group thinking of rescuing our traditions and our folklore for Mexico. And with that, we were so proud and thankful for being invited here today by Ms. Lamas. And we hope you enjoy our little ones doing some dance. They're going to perform 2 dances today. One is from Sinaloa and the other one is from the state of Veracruz. So hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ay, qué bonito es volar a las 2 de la mañana, a las 2 de la mañana. Ay, qué bonito es volar, ay, mamá, hasta venir a quedar en los brazos de tu hermana. Échale, échale. Ay, qué bonito es volar a las 2 de la mañana y mamá me agarra la bruja, me lleva a su casa, me vuelve maceta y una calabaza. Me agarra la bruja, me lleva al cuartel, se sienta en mis piernas y me invita a comer. Ay, dígame y dígame y yo les diré cuántas criaturitas se ha chupado usted. ¿Cuántas? Ninguna, 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 no sé. Algo en pretensiones de chuparme a usted. Ay, esa linda boquita, ¿dónde, dónde? Para Catemaco, compadre. ¿A qué? Ya sabes. Ahora sí, maldita bruja. ¿Qué te hizo? Ya te chupaste a tu hijo. Ya te chupaste a tu hijo. Ahora sí, maldita bruja y mamá. Ahora le vas a chupar a tu marido el ombligo. Error de cálculo. A tu marido el ombligo. Y lo vas a hacer llorar, ay, mamá. Me agarra la bruja detrás del zaguán. Quiere que me ponga mi traje de Adán. Me agarra la bruja, me lleva a su cueva, me pega un sustote con su traje de Eva. Ay, dígame y yo les diré cuántas criaturitas se ha chupado usted. No sé. Ninguna, 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 no sé. Ando en pretensiones de chuparme a usted.
Thank you all so much. Ruth and Alejandro, thank you so much. Now we're going to move to our highlight reel. Next, we're going to move to receive and file. Unless I have any objections. File. Next is the consent calendar. All consent calendar items will be acted upon simultaneously unless requested by an individual council member for separate consideration. Are there any members of the council that would like to pull any consent items for separate consideration?
I want to pull 14D.
I would like to pull 14D also, please.
Do I have any others? Or do I have a motion to approve the rest?
I
So
move to approve A and D.
Second.
Council, please cast your votes. That's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Meyer, second by Councilmember Brown. That motion passes 5-0 with the removal of items 14B and 14D for separate consideration.
All right, we're going to start with item number 14D.
I pulled 14D because we're spending $500,000 on sidewalks. And we're not getting any input from our wheelchair veterans or any other wheelchair civilians in the community. I know that the state in Crow's Nest, before we lost our last city manager, had told me a grant came in for that sidewalk and it's still not fixed. And you remember that. So I don't know what happened to the funds, if they got reallocated somewhere else, but that was supposed to be a finished project by now, and it's not.
And it was promised in a council meeting.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think we should get some type of civilian committee to help designate where we work on sidewalks, where we put sidewalks in, and not just randomly go out and fix sidewalks because maybe someone feels that they have a friend that lives there, so we're going to fix this sidewalk. I think we should get real studies on it and people that are active on the streets in wheelchairs and have them part of the decision making on where we fix these sidewalks.
Maybe, do we have staff that could talk about how the processes come about, or how the process is, each sidewalk is picked?
Yeah, we have the Works Director, Noah Rao. He'll provide some brief history on this item.
Yes, good evening. I'd first like to say the State Street Sidewalk Project just was posted yesterday for bids. So it is out on the street. It closes October 24th. I got that out as soon as I could. The one tonight here, 14D, the CDBG projects, staff keeps a list ongoing of discontinuities throughout the city of where there's no sidewalks, missing links, to try to keep pedestrian circulation the best it can be. So that's how these are initially identified, and then it's put into a CDBG application, and then it's further approved through the CDBG committee through that application process. So that's currently how that's being done right now. Any more detailed questions?
You get input from people on the streets saying there's certain sidewalks that aren't good for wheelchairs, or how do they
We
come
do
in?
take a lot of phone calls and complaints in that regard, and we keep a spreadsheet list of all of those and the locations, and then we try to put together a project that makes sense by location and how it's going to fix discontinuities in the sidewalks.
And we have that list then available.
Yeah, my staff and engineering keeps a spreadsheet.
Can I
of
get
it.
that list and maybe go over it with these wheelchair people and people in wheelchairs and see if they concur with where we're fixing these sidewalks and make sure that it's going to benefit the people that use them.
Because what he's getting at is imagine being someone in a wheelchair and you're always traveling on certain streets, but then there are other streets that are less traveled. What if we're fixing ones that are less traveled, but we're ignoring the ones that are heavily traveled? That's, I think that's what he's trying to get at. Am I getting it right?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And to be clear, Noah, on my walks each week, Florida Avenue is not included because it is a Caltrans, right? Because I go over this very dangerous portion, and I mean, there's a drop that it's almost a 45-degree drop, and I don't know how they get away with not fixing this. And this is on a main street, not just one of our side streets.
We did have a discussion with Caltrans today regarding
Hopefully I don't fall on one of my walks. I'm just saying.
sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
And with that discussion, what was the conclusion?
They've committed to working on fixing them. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I know we've been here before, but they have committed to work on fixing them. So best we could get.
I'd like to table this at least till the next city council meeting, where I can get a list and get some input from these gentlemen here.
If we table it, then it's going to delay all the projects.
By 2
No.
weeks.
Yeah, I mean, how long is that job posted for Crow's Nest? You said for 2 weeks?
It closes on the 24th of October.
Okay, so yeah, 2 weeks will definitely affect.
The Crow's Nest is already on here. I mean, and not, oops,
That's
not
not gonna
on, not
do-
on this list, but it's gone up to bid.
So it's not going to delay anything on Crow's Nest.
No,
Just the rest of the projects.
it'll just be these other projects that don't,
Other
that have
projects.
either broken sidewalks or don't have sidewalks, missing link type things.
Well, I like to hear from our veterans here. And is that gonna, I mean, if we proceed, or should we delay so you can see what's on the list? What do you want to do here? Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, Kenny?
Wait, hold on for a second. You guys have to remember that you can't just, you have to address me. You know what I mean? We can't just be going back and forth with people like that. Does that make sense?
Can you address the audience and see
I,
if they have any?
then I'd have to
questions?
open up public comment, all kinds of stuff. We're out of order. That's like a separate consideration that we'd have to, it's a separate consideration. So do I have a second to his tabling?
I have a question or comment. May I?
Yes.
Just with a show of hands, has any of you ever called the city and voiced your concerns on certain streets? You have? Okay. I knew you would have, so that's why I had to ask.
Do I have a motion to approve this item?
I'd like to, I have further question for staff.
Okay.
Do we utilize the Infrastructure Commission as an opportunity for additional public input on projects such as this? Or would something like this go through the Infrastructure Commission?
This was probably just presented as like an update to the commission, but not as an action item that would bring in public comment.
Put you on the spot a little bit. What's the feasibility of taking projects like this, particularly projects where we know there's no shortage of improvements needed throughout the city in road surfaces and sidewalks and curb cuts? And we can't obviously do everything all at once. So what's the feasibility of using the Infrastructure Commission as kind of a opportunity for public input and hearing, if you will, to get their input prior to things coming to council?
I think that during the compilation of the projects and the design phase, that would definitely be feasible to get it on a infrastructure commission agenda and solicit public input.
Because I think the commissioners would appreciate having an opportunity to weigh in on some of these projects, and it would be a second opportunity for public input before it comes to council. And coming through the commission with a recommendation from the commission after having an opportunity for public input, I think it would be more valuable to us when it comes to us for decision.
You're talking about the commission that would be created under Councilmember Mails?
No, this is an existing infrastructure commission. And our public works director is the staff representative to that commission. And it was created when we used to have a parks commission and we used to have a traffic and parking commission. And a few years ago, both of those were abolished because they really weren't being utilized. And the responsibilities and input was blended into the creation of the infrastructure commission. And I think the city attorney has a comment.
Could I offer some perhaps assistance in this regard related to the infrastructure commission?
All right.
So under section 2-224 A7 of the Hemet Municipal Code, the Infrastructure Commission, one of their duties is to review as necessary, and perhaps this is something that is necessary to be reviewed, vehicular and pedestrian safety measures, including without limitation, the provision of safe routes for pedestrians, including disabled persons. So that, what we're talking about here, having them review the project and, you know, receive input is something that is one of the very specific functions of that already existing commission. I don't know if they have any vacancies on it. This is my plug for the city clerk's office.
We do, right?
And I don't know if anyone who's been appointed to that commission is disabled and can provide that additional valuable insight. But perhaps something the city council could do, instead of maybe tabling it, maybe you could continue consideration of this item to the next city council meeting to give an opportunity for this to be referred to the infrastructure commission for public hearing and comment on the appropriateness of these specific routes that have been selected. And the reason for that is what you have before you right now is a project that was already planned, sent out to bid. Contractors put in a lot of time and effort to put in a bid for it. And the contract is set to be either approved or not. And so I'd hate to have those contractors go through all that work if it can be saved. And so maybe referring it to the Infrastructure Commission, which has this specific duty, give them a chance to comment on it. And then I think also, you know, consider the appointments to that commission. There may be some vacancies and that could benefit from some additional appointments.
Mayor, if I could make another comment. This particular project was funded through CDBG, and these exact locations were part of the application. So I'm not sure that we would be able to change those in this project. So I don't know if going to the Infrastructure Commission for further comment with this particular project, it would be appropriate. And we are kind of on a time crunch for this project as well for the CDBG funding. It's supposed to be done.
Well, what
very
we
soon.
can do then is continue with it. We can pass it and hope one of our sidewalks is a part of this fix. And then maybe get more input on the future of CDBG's funded sidewalk fixtures.
As we prepare future applications with the locations, we could certainly bring those to infrastructure for public input.
All right.
Just make sure that when you do have one of those meetings that you invite our disabled community out.
Definitely.
I have a comment too. I believe I have an opening on the infrastructure committee. And if you, Willie, would be willing to be on there and serve as my commissioner and my appointee, I would just need you to fill out an application with John Paul, and then I'll put it on the next agenda. Okay. Awesome.
Great. So let's go ahead and pass this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff recommendation on the CDBG projects, and that we chime in, Mr. City Attorney, if this is, if we give direction to staff to utilize the Infrastructure Commission going forward.
I think that you could certainly approve the resolution you have in front of you, which approves the contract. And if you wanted to add additional direction to staff that further ADA improvement projects need to go to the Infrastructure Commission for review, and perhaps when they have those meetings, they need to notify some of our regional stakeholders. I know we have the mobility business here, and perhaps the Legion and others who may have contacts in the community to get the word out that that meeting is going on. I think you could direct them to bring ADA improvements to the Infrastructure Commission.
So my motion is to approve staff recommendation and with direction to staff as you so stated.
I second.
Because I don't do shorthand.
I realize I rambled there a bit. I made it short for the clerk.
Heard a motion by Councilmember Brown. Did I hear a second?
I second it.
By Councilmember Mills. Council, please cast your votes. That motion passes 5-0.
Now, item number 14B.
All right, I pulled item 14B just so that it can be clearly explained to the public, but I just want to thank our interim city manager for his leadership and direction, and for digging your heels in on this one. And if you could explain so that everyone understands what is going on here.
Yeah, I'll give a brief explanation prior to our plan director, HP, providing further. On 14B, we went out to an RFP with the direction of the city council regarding our building consultant departments. And with that, we did hire a consultant, which I'll keep the name. It was in previous our council recommendation, but didn't come through with the contract as we requested, and sat down and had our meeting with them. So I chose to terminate that contract to move to the next one, and they were able to fulfill it over the weekend with the staff that we needed to move forward with the development that we have coming into the city. So I don't know with that, if you want to include anything else, HP.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Council, members of the council. What we have now is one, as the council has directed staff to do, is we have one consultant group that is supplying the permit tech, the inspectors, as well as plan check for building and safety division. So they're all in unison and working together to get all of the needs of the building and safety through the process. So right now, that's what we're recommending. And as Chief Poos has mentioned, the prior consultant that we hired, we didn't spend $1 with them. So that's why we're just transferring that entire fund to this particular consultant.
Yeah, if I could add a little bit further, we gave them a time frame, which was delayed, and it appeared that it was going to be continue to be delayed a further week. So it was to our best interest with the issues that we were having with a lot of developers coming in, looking for permit checks, that we move forward to the next consultant. We met with them on a Friday, and they were able to fulfill their obligations that Monday with plan checkers and the building official. So we're pleased with them at this time. They're doing a great job moving forward. But that was a delay that was unexpected because we were trying to clean up something that we were dealing with prior to them. And that was having multiple consultants doing plan checks. So this was a moving forward. And as of right now, they have committed to what we asked them to do.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring this up because for years, council has complained about this process being a problem, and no one has been bold enough to terminate those that have not fulfilled their duties. And so I appreciate it. I just wanted to make a note of that. So with that, I'll approve 14B, or I'll move to approve it.
I'll second.
Council, please cast your votes. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Meyer, second by Councilmember Mails. That motion passes 5-0.
Now moving on to discussion items.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight's item is the appointment of Measure U Citizen Oversight Committee members. I briefly had a small report at the previous meeting, and I was encouraged to solicit for more applications. We did not receive any new additional applications. We did, however, include a few questions to the staff report just for reference, and the council may add additional follow-up questions to better review candidates that have been proposed for tonight's consideration. And we, as it stands, we have two candidates, George Schaefer and Stacy Olson, to fill the current vacancies on the Measure U committee, excuse me. And I believe they're both here tonight. So at council's pleasure, if they would like to interview, they may. If they wish not to, that's at their pleasure. I believe he's on the call. I just have to call out. Mr. Schaefer, are you live with the City Council? Are you here on the call? So I see two initials, but I don't know if that's you. Just want to confirm. If that's you, can you please raise your hand? And both candidates were notified and did confirm that they were going to be here tonight. And I'm not getting a call back.
Well, considering I did get a comment from a couple other people in the community who said they did not see any of our advertising for any of this stuff. So I'm not sure where we advertise for any of it. I did see the city treasurer at one point, but that has disappeared too. Is there any reason like we can't extend this for another couple of weeks and see if we can get more people? I mean, it would really be nice to be able to interview people and select, because the way it stands, we're appointing two people.
I think we ought to continue at least with one of the people here. We have somebody here with for Measure U.
And we have another member in the audience that didn't know about it.
That what? Well, that's it. So why don't we continue it for another 2 weeks, get more applications, and then actually insist that you come to a meeting to be interviewed? I mean, this is important.
Well, we have one now. Why don't we vote on her?
City clerk, how did we advertise?
We did social media advertising and press enterprise few times in the past year for applications.
You guys want to do what Joe Mel said?
I make a motion, we have the one person here, at least have her come up and let's vote on her. She's here.
Well, we gave Mr. Mr. Schaefer the consideration last time when Ms. Olson was not here.
I know, but it doesn't make sense. We have one here.
And we had one here
Let's
last
vote on
time.
her. Well, we should have voted on him last week too, then, if he was here. Or last meeting. Doesn't make sense.
Well, for the sake of the committee, I will ask that can we do this in the next meeting?
It's at the council's pleasure.
Do I have a second for Joe Mills? What happens if no one seconded it? Okay. Do I have a second to mine of
I'll s-
tabling it to October 11th?
I'll second that.
Mayor, just so we
Is-
understand your motion correctly, it's to continue the item to the next regular council meeting. Do you want to direct staff to
Send out
republish
another to
notice?
republish because we have a member in here who's saying they didn't find out.
Because the ordinance,
Always here.
the ordinances allow the council to republish notice as it deems necessary. So if you'd like to direct staff to republish notice, if there's a specific place that you'd like the notice to be published or something like that, I'd recommend that you include that in your motion.
Can you include it as a Facebook advertisement?
We'll do all social media.
No, an advertisement. So it's advertising across people's feeds, not just a post.
You can put it out there and boost it.
Certainly.
Give it a boost because it's any place in the city of Hemet.
I may need additional monies to do advertising of that nature.
I'll give you $5.
Gonna cost about $450,
You're abroad.
$150 for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Did anybody second me?
Pardon? I second it.
Council, it's your votes. That motion passes 4-1. Councilmember Mail is voting no.
All right, moving to city council and staff reports. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. RCHC held a meeting a week ago and received some good news about some projects that are moving forward with the tracking and documentation of the SKR, the Stevens Kangaroo Rat. And one of the items that was approved on the agenda was that RCHC is in the process of disposing of 3 surplus land parcels. And following the Surplus Lands Act policy, notice of availability went out for 60 days, and that expired September 6th. RCHC received 3 letters of interest from 5 Talents 401k Trust, Riverside County Flood Control, and Ecosystem Investment Partners. And as required by the policy, staff must give priority to 5 Talents 401k Trust, since they're listed as a developer with the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And we'll begin good faith negotiations with them for 90 days. And the executive director was designated as the lead negotiator, and will begin negotiations. Looking at the map, none of those parcels are deemed to be of value, and that's why they were, for the SKR recovery effort. So that's why they were deemed surplus. I was unable to attend the most recent Ramona Bowl board meeting, but I did receive information that the request to have equestrian unit representation in the Rose Parade was approved. That's been out on social media, and a very favorable reaction that I've seen from the community on that. So it's a big step. There's been some substantial turnover in the composition of the Ramona Bowl board of directors, and I must say that the currently constituted directors are very ambitious and very proactive in wanting to make the Ramona pageant in 2023 everything that it should be for the 100-year centennial celebration of the pageant. And they have extended it an additional weekend. So there will actually be 3 weekends that the pageant will be presented. I think that it's highly deserving of that kind of support that this current board of directors is giving them. So I'm encouraged by that, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun activities leading up to that will help really put Hemet back on the map, even though it's not technically in our jurisdiction. We claim it as being our pageant. So, and that's about all that I have to report.
Councilmember Krupa.
Thank you. First off, we had an investment oversight committee meeting last week, I believe it was, and got an in-depth presentation from the management company, and talked about rebalancing of the funds and the impact that the interest rates are having on the bond market. And overall, everything is in line with the policies that have been set by council, and they are following those. The library, as a reminder, family story time is every Wednesday at 2 p.m. So if you want to go to the library with your little people, or just go for family and read a book or listen to a book, it's tomorrow at 2 o'clock. League of California Cities, Russ didn't announce this, but he and I are a cornhole team on Friday for the annual fundraiser. Cal Cities usually has a golf tournament. This year we're having a cornhole tournament in Lake Elsinore. So I believe there's probably still time to sign up and be a team.
I think the mayor and our interim city manager are a team.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're going to beat you.
Cities.
So that should be fun. Yeah, should be fun. RCTC, we had a meeting a day after our last council meeting, and Mid-County Parkway improvement from Ryder Street to Warren Road was approved. It is not going to be a project that gets done overnight, but as Supervisor Hewitt said, at least this is a project that we can say it will be done in our lifetime. So it hopefully within the next couple of years, all of the improvements will be made, and it will take a while to get it done. There's several $1 million that are being reprogrammed from the project in Paris to the Mid-County, also moving some other several $1 million from another project to this, and RCTC went out to the state to get additional grant funding so that all of the money can be there and it can just go forward. So that is definitely a step in the right direction. And tomorrow, if you are down on Wentworth and Scaramella near the RTA property, if you see a lot of sheriff activity, it's really okay. They are on a training mission, and we'll be doing training at the RTA site. So the increased show of sheriff's units is going to be an okay thing. And that is all I have.
Councilmember Mails.
Oh, we can get it down at the bottom. You can report. It's okay.
The skate park, the city parks maintenance team has a meeting scheduled with New Line Skate Parks this coming Monday at Gibble Park to review the existing irrigation configuration with a landscape architect working for the New Line Skate Parks. They should resolve any final questions that they have to complete the landscaping plans now included with the park design. They promised NOAA that an update would be scheduled for completion of the last week, but they have not delivered yet. So we're still working on that. Cal Cities AB 1985 signed into law giving cities more time to comply with the organic waste procurement requirements. Cities now have an additional 2 years to comply. Governor vetoed sales tax bill that would have cost cities and counties more than $2 billion following months of advocacy by Cal Cities. And that's all I have.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
I was able to attend the trash cleanup day and come by and see all the public works workers. And I saw Terry there unloading with the Legion. They went around and picked up trash. And so that was very impressive. We had record numbers, and I can't wait till those statistics come in. But the number of people participating from our community and even the positive feedback that they see less illegal dumping because they have this on their calendar. And so I do appreciate the last flyer the city put out has the upcoming dates so people can plan ahead with their trash. And I think it's making a big difference in our city. So thank you. That's all I have.
Another thing to add to that was it was exciting to see the community utilizing this opportunity as the line extended all the way to Hemet Hospital. From the time CR&R got there until I think I passed by around 2:30, 3:30. Usually they're done at around 12 and they're out of there. They were still cleaning up around 2 p.m. It was amazing. I can't wait to see those numbers. LDS Church led an initiative where they also collaborated with the city and through their Just Serve app where you can sign up for volunteerism. They went around the city. They did some unique things like where they went to people's houses who couldn't drive to the library. And they were also doing things where they were helping the elderly, like well, it's not my district, Panorama. But there were some elderly people out there who needed shrubs trimmed, weeds picked, and they had it was really well organized because they had a dispatcher that, and so I was volunteering with that group all around the city of Hemet and in some of the county areas where we were able to help shore up some of the burned areas in the where the Fairview fire was, and to help with the mudslides. So they were putting these things out there that would help direct the mudslides away from people's properties. And there's a lot of destruction out there from not only the fire but from the mudslides. And so to be a part of that was very rewarding. And another thing was all of the kids. There were a lot of kids from our local high schools that were also involved in this too, getting their community service hours, and not from illegal things, but just wanting to serve. And so that was really good to see because they put it out to Hemet School District, and then Hemet and the kids who wanted to participated in that. And so again, they were all out there helping clean up. The other thing I have is Community Action Partnership. They were able to, over the last year, they were able to process 3,420 tax returns. They had 64 volunteers and they had 34 active sites. That program they have is where when you sign up with them, you get your tax return done for free. They had 71 cool and warm centers, including the three that we had in our city. 144 residents were trained for dispute resolution and mediation cases. These are cases where you have, parents fighting over their kids and things like that. And this consisted of 34 volunteers, which trained 144 residents in helping with dispute resolutions. And then through this program, through the Community Actionship program, they were able to distribute 16 desktops, 18 laptops, 9 residents were only 9 of them signed up for the Savings for Success. But that's another program they have that'll help residents especially low-income residents, save up so they can work towards self-sufficiency. Total funding distributed when it came to utility assistance was $3,970,741. 2 million, about 3 million of that went to 3,126 households. 500,000 went to gas, paid for gas. 8,500 paid for propane. 2,481,000 of that was for electric. They also paid people's water bills in the estimate of $285,000 for 373 households. And when it came to weatherization, so this includes making sure that your windows aren't leaking, stucco. So this was like $695,000, 594, 76 households, 10 mobile homes, 66 stucco type houses, 10 renters, and 66 owners, all under this weatherization program. And so that's all I have to report for Community Action Partnership. But this program I'm sitting on it as a commissioner, and I'm going to be doing a lot of advertising for our residents here to make sure that they can get your bills paid. So that's all I have for right now. Let's go to ad hoc committees.
Thank you, Mayor. As we mentioned earlier, the ad hoc committee with Caltrans had a virtual meeting this morning. Our Public Works Director and Councilmember Krupa and I were representing the city. There were 7 people representing Caltrans. We did take note of a couple of individuals. One is Andrea Harlan. She's the District 8 Legislative Affairs Liaison, and she provided her contact information, including cell phone. And then they have Emily Linen, who is the Office Chief for External Affairs. So she provided the staff her contact information and cell phone, and they urged us to utilize them as a point of contact for things. Most of the updates that we got was from one of their maintenance supervisors who talked about the sidewalk repairs, and they are in the process of compiling a list of all of the sidewalk repairs that are needed, trip hazards, places where sidewalks don't even exist, all along their state highway right away. So some of the areas that I know that our veterans traverse and have difficulty with are along the state highway there. So hopefully those will be done, and hopefully our staff can help them prioritize which ones to do first, second, and third, if they'll listen to us. We also talked about Citrus Point and the fact that we're anxious to get them moving along so that we can beautify that area. I didn't get a sense of any real definitive timelines for that, but staff reiterated that that's a priority that we need to get done soon.
Is that we're just waiting for permits for them?
I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
basically.
Do they issue their own permits, or they have to go get them from the governor, or? Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, and then I took this as another opportunity to continue my broken record appeal for a K-rail type barrier in the stretch of their highway between Four Seasons Boulevard and Calvert, because and I specifically mentioned using their phraseology that justified the Cedar Median project to begin with. They deemed it a safety project because of a high frequency of cross median collisions. And I pointed out to them in the little over 16 years that I've lived in Hemet, that one little quarter-mile section has had no less than 8 fatalities related to cross-median head-on collisions. And I appealed to them again that what they have there is not sufficient to mitigate that concern. And I pointed out again that what they did on the State Route 79 highway through Lamb Canyon was done for exactly that purpose, to mitigate those kinds of tragic collisions. So I just wanted to continually be on record that we're making that appeal. And I kind of heard crickets when I made my soliloquy, but I'm going to keep saying it every time we meet. They did suggest going to quarterly meetings, and I think Emily Linen is going to be the contact point and is going to coordinate that, but I did get them to commit to more frequent meetings if the need arises. So anything I missed? Okay.
I wonder if I can FaceTime that lady the next time there's an accident down Cornell in Florida. 3-car creamed lady had a child in her lap and blood all over her face. It was great. Safety project.
Councilmember Krupa.
They did make a comment that the driveway at Steve's Burger is a result of poor planning on their part. I'll put it very, very tactfully. And they have work to do. They have to go back to the contractor and make sure that that gets straightened out. So there are some issues that, and as long as we keep pointing them out, they're going to have to.
Let's go to quarterly so we can ignore them easier.
Interesting.
Good one.
But no, you did a good job covering that. I have one thing to add, and I don't know where to add it. It's on our commissions, and while you're advertising, I mean, there's openings on Measure U, there's 2 openings on infrastructure, and there's an opening on library trustees. We need to advertise for all 3 and get people appointed to these things so we can have full boards and commissions.
Working on an advertisement now.
Thank you very much.
Bales.
The business outreach ad hoc, we were having meetings, monthly meetings, and this month we didn't have any. City manager, chief, are we going to have a meeting this month at all for the business meeting?
Yeah, I'll make sure I schedule one. I'm sorry. Just a lot.
I know we've all been busy. I understand. Yeah. Okay. Maybe if not this month, October at least. And
Yeah, definitely. We had some updates to go over as well.
good. No more taxes. That's about it. But
And you went over yours, right?
Yes, I have a future agenda item though.
Okay. City manager report.
Yeah, real quick, just a couple things. This Thursday, I will be participating in the deputy fire chief interviews, so that's moving along. We have also, and that's the second round of interviews that the fire chief has implemented for that position. We are also doing the first round of executive search firm interviews, and that will be next week, which we are conducting for the city manager search. So that's moving along. And the last thing is I'll be representing the city at the Dunkin' Donuts ribbon cutting ceremony this Saturday at 8:45.
And I'd just like to thank the city staff and our interim city manager specifically for the council updates. I find them to be very informative, very thorough, and it's exciting to see how much work is being done on an ongoing basis that oftentimes doesn't even get acknowledged. And so I just want to acknowledge the good work of the staff that's putting the efforts into that. And particularly HR, we've got a lot of recruitments going on. Chief, I'm pleased to see we have 7 firefighter paramedics in the Rio Hondo Fire Academy. Is that right? 6? Okay. So it is happening. It just takes a long, long time because, as I've said, every agency is fishing in the same shallow pond of qualified applicants for public safety. And so I appreciate the recruitment efforts by PD and fire and HR.
And I was able to attend a swearing in of 2 new officers this morning. I do want to put it on your radar that we'll be at Devonshire Downs that's 260 North Lyon Avenue on October 20th for a community update. So a lot of the things that Councilmember Brown was mentioning will be talked about there so that the community is updated on what's happening in our city, the businesses that are coming in, and all the other opportunities that are happening.
And I believe the updates that Councilmember Brown is referring to are available on our city's website.
Yes. I apologize. They are available on him at ca.gov under city manager updates.
Okay.
All right. Any future agenda items?
I would like to make a motion to invite SCE to do some sort of workshop and communication with council on their plans for electricity, because, you know, the easy way for them is to just shut off the electricity when it's hot. And that's not acceptable for the citizens in our city. So I think that they need to hear that from our council. So however they want to do that, I think we need to put that on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that
Has
would
to be
be really
seconded.
good. I don't know if the rest of the council members got the survey, satisfaction survey that SCE sent out. I answered it very bluntly, and you know that they're not doing a good job telling us where the power outages are. They're not taking into consideration the elderly population that is on life support and oxygen and things like that. And to an email or a text message just doesn't cut it when you rely on electricity to keep yourself going. And in this last one, we had a lot of people, Sierra Dawn North and in that area, who are on oxygen. They're senior citizens. They couldn't get out. They couldn't go anywhere. Thank God for RTA, who came along and transported them to cooling centers and for the cooling centers to be open. But their service is not satisfactory to our citizens.
Sounds like a second for her motion.
Is that a second?
Oh, it does. I think it was.
So do we vote?
Council, cast your votes.
Okay. My button doesn't work.
Yeah.
My voting system appears to not be working, so I'll do a roll call. I apologize, Council. Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Mills,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer, Mayor Lilienthal.
Yes.
That motion passes to add the item to the future list of agenda items.
Thank you to Joe Mills and the Legion for their help during the Fairview fire and the cleanup. We appreciate you and all you do for the community. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people do. Say it. And thank you for getting, so my father is going through some health problems right now, And he was getting about, I think, 80% as far as disability from the military. And with the help of the Legion, they're working on getting 100%. I think they're already getting 100%. But they're advocating for my father, and I really appreciate.
Not only that, I was talking, his father didn't want to get a transplant, lung transplant.
Yeah.
And we talked to him. I called one of a veteran friend of mine I grew up with. They got a double lung transplant. I told him about my transplant with my liver, and he was against a transplant. And I got a call from your mother that night, told me that he changed his mind. He's going to get a transplant. So that's what you have to be thankful for.
Yeah. So I'm going through all this training because somebody has to be available, to help him through all that. He's going to be on, medication and stuff like that, because I guess his body's always going to try to kill it, And so somebody was telling me that these doctors kind of, when they make their decision on who gets the transplant, they kind of weigh what kind of community member this individual is and things like that. And so I believe with the help of the Legion that he can have great advocacy so that they take him into consideration.
Well, they look for the family support also to make sure that family's going to be there. They have to bring his immune system down to 0. So that for that new lung or 2 lungs, I think he's getting 2 lungs, that they'll work together. And as they bring his immune system up, they grow together and bond or whatever.
I also want to add something to the agenda, the future agenda items. I want to make a motion to add, so on our consent calendar, it was item number 14C with providing in-kind services. I was wondering if we could do some kind of policy thing where it doesn't really have to come to us.
Okay, let's go back a few years. We actually had a special events subcommittee of the council, and we took information, grant applications from different nonprofits who have annual events, and we offered up to, I think it wasn't a lot of money, but it was like $50,000 a year that we allocated to nonprofits, and they would submit grant applications for whatever event they were putting on. And then the subcommittee of council would rank them and determine who got what, whether it was in kind, whether it was actual monetary, whether it was in fee waivers or whatever it was. But it was an actual committee of council members and an allocation in the budget.
Is that why that's why it comes to us?
No, and we approved everything at one time. So if Ramona Pageant came and asked for an allocation of whatever, the council as a whole had a whole list of these are the people who applied, kind of like a CDBG ad hoc committee. We approved line items, it all from council, so that when around, staff knew what to do, who got in kind, who didn't. I think we did it in enough time so that the calendar was done for the year. So it wasn't individual. Yeah, so it wasn't a piecemeal. Maybe put it back to that. And there are things that are done on an annual basis. And then there's always new ones. And we gave extra consideration that if it was a new event downtown in one of the parks, or there were many considerations, but I know the information has got to be somewhere in somebody's file or somebody's computer. And it was a real good idea, and it smoothed things out a lot so that it wasn't this person is coming or this entity is coming and talking to this council member or this staff person. It was all laid out a year in advance. So yeah, it's a real good idea. I second that.
Are we in the middle of a motion?
There you go.
I also have one more thing. On the infrastructure committee, don't put out an ad for that. I got a confirmation from Willie that he wants to be on it, that he's going to fill out the information. I have Jeffrey Moore that's here that wants to be on the infrastructure committee. He's already filled out an application. So we have the two that we need for the infrastructure.
You,
Yeah.
yeah, you still have to put the out.
I just thought we'd save money that.
It's a
nobody likes saving
public,
money.
no, it's
What's-
something you're required to do by law.
I just wanted to add too that we solicit all year long for the scheduled and unscheduled vacancies. So, when we're reviewing these applications for residency and whatnot, we're soliciting them throughout the year. So that's what we've gathered throughout the year.
You had sent me Jeffrey Moore's application, so we're gonna go ahead and set him up for the infrastructure. And then Willie will get his in. Is it a downloadable form or can they fill it out online and
Both.
both? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We're in the middle of a motion.
I wasn't doing Which motion are we
Mayor, I'm
talking
sorry,
about?
Malcolm.
Carly's?
Carly made the
Malcolm's on the
motion.
special events, to add special events back to an annual. Yes.
We're at special events.
Oh. What are you looking for? We have a motion and a second. Yes,
Special events.
make special events an annual. Yeah, make it more efficient.
So I have to add special events and in-kind services to the future agenda items. And I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Meyer, and I did not hear the second. I'm sorry.
The mayor made the motion and I made the second.
Okay. Council, please cast your votes. That motion passes 5-0.
Back on for that one.
Don't even-
It was only the
it
SE
likes
and then no
this-
power.
That was a long time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there being no further
Are you
business,
sure? Make sure we ask Joe.
No.
this meeting is adjourned to the next city council meeting, October 11th.
Thank you.
Add nothing.
Oh, my.